Welcome to Omni Tales.
The Ethical's ability to nullify the mist was a lucky discovery during the First Era when a Pixan guided a lost child out of Ouroboros. Since then, outsiders have passed down this knowledge, requesting the Ethical's guidance in their travels. The current government has even stationed them atop lampposts, using their ethereal smoke as a constant source of light. The Mystica agreed to this meaningless trade only because the government supplied them with endless cuckoo leaves, which is essentially just drugging them for generations as kingdoms changed and kept focusing on farming cuckoo leaves. For some reason, mystics do not farm. Like how we cannot tap into the mystical power, they simply don't understand the mechanics behind farming essential herbs, combining unique branches, concentrating energy flows to create ores, and everything else related to farming. And thank Aurochs they don't do, otherwise we would have never been able to climb up the ladder the way we did.
"1.5 minutes, sir."
The gatekeeper of Jefferson's hotel called out, his voice tinged with urgency.
"We almost lost you there."
He shook Jefferson firmly, as if trying to dislodge the mountain's lingering spell.
Ah!
Jefferson snapped back to awareness, his vision sharpening as he realized how close he had come to succumbing to the lure of Ouroboros.
That was close. Thank you, dear sir.
He leaned forward in gratitude, while his ample belly prevented him from offering a proper bow.
"That's what you're paying me for, sir."
The gatekeeper replied with a chuckle.
"Also, mind your thoughts while you're on the streets. Best not to drift off again."
Jefferson ran a hand through his damp hair, the absence of his hat serving as an unwelcome reminder.
"You'll catch a cold at this rate, sir. Shall I fetch your hat from the suite? I know my way better in than out."
The gatekeeper winks.
No!
Jefferson barked, startling the gatekeeper, then quickly forced a casual laugh.
I left it on purpose. Dry scalp and all.
He waved a dismissive hand before pointing to the shop across the street.
Ah, I just remembered. I need to speak with Tendra about something. Off I go then.
Jefferson reached to tip his hat and mentally scolded himself.
A joke,
he says in a hurry. The gatekeeper's expression darkened with concern.
"I recommend you wait for your guide, sir. Even if it's just a few strides away, the lure of Ouroboros isn't to be taken lightly, even for an oracle."
Jefferson straightened his posture, looking down at the scrawny man who scraped by on the bottom floors, both in stature and physique. He understood the concern and implications. He also knew he was in the wrong and not the gatekeeper. Yet he used a firm, mocking tone.
Do you know what it takes to become an oracle? Or how many stars do I have under my belt?
The gatekeeper glanced at the Mystica wrapped snugly around Jefferson's belly, dividing it into 2 equal parts, and barely held back a laugh. Instead, he maintained his professional composure, saying,
"You paid me to caution you, sir."
Standing perfectly straight, the gatekeeper placed his hands at his sides and offered a small bow.
"My apologies if I have offended you in any way, sir."
Jefferson snorted but said nothing. Instead, he turned his back to the street, took a step back, clicked his feet together, and then spun around, stepping forward again, twirling once more, and repeated the process, slowly making his way toward the shop in an unorthodox, almost ritualistic dance. Each ethical along the street smoked a different hue of cuckoo leaf, their vibrant exhalations transforming the cobbled path into a swirling kaleidoscope of colors. Within this luminous haze, Jefferson stood at the center like a lone performer on a cosmic stage. Jefferson's crude Pixan dance, paired with the Ethical's playful formation of smoke rings around him, was too much for the gatekeeper. He didn't even have time to ask his mystica to cast a veil to shield his outburst from the wealthiest patron at the hotel as he burst into laughter, unable to maintain the professional facade anymore. From Jefferson's perspective, the gatekeeper's outburst could either be a lapse in judgment or a trick played by the mischievous Lockmuir mystica, one designed to trap him in a single emotion, making him vulnerable to the lure of Ouroboros. Without the Mist Keeper's constant announcements, one might get caught in the drums of liberation, a hypnotic rhythm crafted by Cadensis Mystica. Once lost in that tune, a person's emotions would spiral out of control, locking them into a single, overpowering feeling. This fixation would lead to a singular thought, a dangerous state that left one exposed to the lure. Perhaps it was just superstition, since nothing within Ouroboros could ever be proven definitively. But Jefferson wasn't about to test that theory today. Instead, he shifted his mind away from the gatekeeper's mocking laughter and toward his destination, keeping his cool. Deliberately, he slowed his pace, hoping the lure would take care of the gatekeeper for him. Not for mocking him, but for being a witness that could spoil his decades of planning. While Jefferson engaged in his silent battle of wits across the street, another man, who towered over burly men like Jefferson, making them look like toddlers, was waging his war, a desperate attempt to free his soul from his body. At least one of them had to escape this accursed life. Yet no matter how hard he tried to latch on to the rhythm echoing from the drums of Cadensis, a sharp voice yanked him back to reality.
I can slap your soul into the next life if you want.
Tendra reminded her husband, smacking a dusty rag across his face.
Now get your ass back to work.
Yes, dear.
Tenshu snapped to attention, instantly towering over his wife. Tendra narrowed her eyes and spoke in a calm, threatening tone.
You forgot something.
Tenshu hesitated. Was he supposed to be shorter or taller than her during working hours? He did a few quick squats, adjusting his height to test the waters. Then he checked his rag. It was dirty. And to him, dirty meant... With a swift motion, he shoved the rag into his pants pocket and ripped off his shirt pocket for cleaning instead. Tendra crossed her arms.
A smile.
She reminds him. Without hesitation, Tenshu stretched his cheeks into a wide, forced grin, never once stopping his impromptu squat session. Tendra smacked her forehead. The impact reminded her of the missed announcements. Instead of throwing a rock at her husband to break his ridiculous self-imposed training, she turned to shout, but was instantly distracted by Jefferson's comical approach from across the street.
Someone's been practicing.
She giggled. Tenshu immediately relaxed, puffing his nostrils at her sudden change in demeanor.
Why do you only pick on me?
He muttered, or so he thought. He often forgot that his whispers were the average person's yells.
Because I love you, you dummy.
Tendra chuckled, not even turning around. Jefferson cleared his throat.
You look as lovely as always, Mrs. Hoover.
He tried and failed to keep the blush off his face.
You're too sweet, Mr. Hope. And please call me Tendra. We know each other well enough for first names. Or even Jeff.
She winked.
Oh, yes.
Jefferson stammered, shrinking away as she leaned in. Across the shop, Tenshu sighed internally. Here it comes. He tapped his fingers together. This time, he wisely kept his thoughts inside his head, where they usually belonged. It was thanks to the lure that some of his thoughts escaped their prison, for Tenshu never thought or spoke this much in his life. And he lived a long life, for he wasn't a normal wanderer.
Make sure to please the almighty algorithm on your way out, and that shall notify you on the next chapter's release. See ya in the next one.